This week on Prof and Dev Play Games, we dig into our favorite games, cracking into the top 10, going from game 10 to 6. Also, Anthony tells us about Monster Hunter Wilds. Stay tuned. All right, my friends, welcome to episode 468 of Prof and Dev Play Games. My name is Larry at Prof Plays Games on Blue Sky. Over there is Anthony the Dev. He is at Summer Speak. And as I did the intro, I forgot. Is it Wilds or Wild?
Wilds.
Yes, I got it right. Perfect. I'm looking forward to hearing how that's going. But otherwise, how are you doing?
I'm okay. I really don't want it to be Sunday night. I don't want to work tomorrow. I want an extra Sunday, please.
I feel that. I feel that for sure. We looked at the calendar and we're like, oh, our daughter has Friday off randomly for a professional development day for the teachers or whatever. So I guess I have a 4-day week instead of a 5-day week.
My kids also have this coming Friday off.
Oh, really? Oh, it's something that I'm not.
It's an in-service day.
Oh, okay. Well, it is for us too. That's weird.
Okay, it just randomly lined up.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Except I have it. So that's all happening. I don't get a 4-day week because I have to be in a manager's offsite for that entire day.
Oh, wow. Well, and your kids are also old enough to take care of themselves.
They have. Yeah, we actually can leave them home occasionally now without them dying or fearing that they're going to
burn the house down.
Yeah, I guess that this is the good time because probably with my son, give it like a year and a half, 2 years, and then the fear might be of like, is he going to throw a party?
Time? Yep.
Yeah.
Well, he'll just throw a LAN party. It'll be all good.
I know. I'm like, just be as nerdy as I was, and then it's not really that big of a deal.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, no. So I just would like another day of rest.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'd like another day of Magic the Gathering. Played Magic the Gathering with our neighbors, my daughter and I, and we just had a ton of fun. It was so great. Played I don't know the difference between standard and modern, but we played with the 60 deck.
Cards. Modern has a lot more cards you can use.
Okay, so maybe we played modern. I don't know. You can have like copies, like up to 4 in modern.
Modern is everything like standard, normal, what I would call normal deck building rules, 4 of any copy of a card. Modern just goes back to like cards from, they call it modern because it's whenever they switched to the modern frame from the old frame. So that would have been 2003.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a long time.
But then you have like vintage, which is cards from the creation of Magic. So
and only those cards?
No, it's vintage is the entirety of every Magic the Gathering card ever released.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And then modern is modern frame forward, which is now like almost over 20 years of cards.
Mm-hmm.
And is there other weird one? Commander is effectively vintage as well. Like you can play them. There's a ban list, but pretty much everything's a go in Commander.
It was a ban list, and now there's a game changer list for the new bracket.
Yeah, if you want to follow that, which actually you probably do generally. The cards that they list on there really screw with games.
Well, we talked about it today when we were at the table because I had basically a 3. My friend had a 3, and then one of the people, they had a 1 because it was a cat and dog themed deck.
Well, sure,
which was really cool. So
yeah, yep, those are the general formats. Like, what was it with Modern's? Long, but I remember there was a vintage tournament that I had a coworker go to, and he had 2 decks that he was taking to it. And at one point, he's like, "Yeah, both these decks in my bag are like $5,000 a piece."
Oh my god!
Because the cards in them are just absurd. Like its original lands are okay, which go for even a crap copy, probably close to 1,000 each. Those never got reprinted outside of Alpha Beta Unlimited.
Yeah.
So, It's crazy. And I was like, why are you even holding those? Why would you do that? Why aren't they just secure in a safe somewhere?
Gotta play with them. Gotta have fun.
I guess so.
No point in having toys if you can't play with them, I think. As long as they don't get stolen from you. I was looking at, I learned about the popper style.
Yeah.
I like that, where it's just commons only.
Yep.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, makes it way cheaper, for sure. I think the local store in West Seattle does a popper night.
That's cool. That'd be fun.
Yeah, and everyone can just... it can be rather cheap. What's really funny, though, is that as poppers become more popular, you can see which commons are actually, like, good.
Yep.
Because they're the ones that are, like, they're not 5 cents. They're, like, $1. And you're like, it's a common.
Yeah, I went looking at a popper deck, and I was like, oh, some of these are actually pretty expensive. So we're metagaming the poppers now. Got it.
Yes, pretty much. Every format will get metagamed now.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, that's cool, though. I'm glad you had fun.
Oh, man. I'm like so into this, and my daughter is too. It's great. It's such a great time. But this is not a Magic the Gathering podcast, although we could do that one of these times. Yes, exactly. Wait till Final Fantasy fucking comes up this summer. Yeah, then it'll be a fucking Magic the Gathering podcast all summer long.
Yeah, pretty much.
But until then, we are going to continue our list of our 25 our 25 favorite games, not the best games, but our favorite games. And if you missed the first few games, go back a couple podcasts. We're doing the top 25. We did 25 through 11 in the last 3 podcasts. And now we're going to do game 10 through 6. Mm-hmm. And I think you started last time, so I'll start this time if you don't mind. I'll give you my number 10. My number 10 surely is on your list. I would be surprised if it's not. And it is Mass Effect 2. So I played Witcher 3 in 2015, picked it up based on the reviews only, and just fell in love. And then my friend at the time, Brad, and I think you too, were like, if you like this kind of game, you probably will like Mass Effect. So I played Mass Effect 1 on, I think it was like the Xbox One probably. Liked it well enough, and then tried 2. And 2, like from the first moment, was just like throttling me for my attention. Like I couldn't put it down. Start off with the whole Shepard crawling through the ship, the whole thing, and then the I believe she died and then comes back or whatever. If my memory is not
you're
shitty.
Correct.
Okay, great. And then just recruiting all of the characters and the loyalty missions and the suicide mission at the end, and just like, I don't know if there was a single moment in that game that was like slow or annoying or fell flat. I remember one of the first missions was going after Archangel, and then realizing that it was Garrus. I was like, it's Garrus. I was so happy.
Good.
Oh my God. I was like, there were just so many moments like that in Mass Effect 2 that really weren't there for me in Mass Effect 1 or 3. And it just, that type of game, it's like one of the best. And I just, don't like sci-fi that much in general, but I just really got into it, and I just could not put that game down. The enhancements over Mass Effect, the original one, the way that you play the game, the gameplay itself, but also the writing. I just felt like everything was at another level over Mass Effect, which was good, obviously, but Mass Effect 2 was just out the park, amazing. So yeah, it's number 10 on my list for those reasons.
I would agree with all of that. That's it kept the momentum that was the end of the first Mass Effect into the second one.
Yeah,
that was the thing. The pacing of the first Mass Effect was kind of rough, but man, was I into the first Mass Effect when it ended. Like, the last third of Mass Effect 1 is incredible. Just a thrill ride. And then 2 just starts, and you're like, the audacity to kill the main character.
Yeah.
You're like, like, what the hell? And it was 2 came out still, and it was 2010, still in a time where it wasn't necessarily spoiled from the get-go. I had no clue what the story was going to hold for me going into that game, and them killing Shepard in the first 10 minutes of that game. And then being like, what the hell is this game going to be? And then, like I said, just an absolute thrill ride.
Yep.
But it is not my number 10. My number 10 is a little game. Actually, it is a little game called NetHack.
NetHack.
Which I'm like, most people are going to be like, for our listeners, like, the fuck is NetHack?
Can I interject there for a second? My former co-president, who's still a part of our union, came into the office last week and said, I'm listening to your top 25 and I don't know half the games that you're talking about, especially Anthony. So there's another one for you, Barbara.
So NetHack, this is going to be a weird one. Okay, because this is kind of, I don't think normal gamers will have any clue on this. It was first released in 1987. It is an ASCII roguelike game.
Oh my God.
NetHack. And everything is colored ASCII art. Like you play it in a terminal window. Like, my history with this is I kind of knew about it post college, originally, but when I came back to PopCap, they had a NetHack server. Oh, wow. So the whole studio would just it's a single player game, but you can have it as a server. And when your character dies, it leaves behind a bones file on the server. So other people can find your corpse and they can get your items and stuff off it. But it is an RPG roguelike, not light. This is very much like,
you're keeping nothing between runs.
Absolutely nothing. It's very much modeled off of AD&D. All the stats are AD, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons stats. It started development in 87. It's still in development to this day.
It is?
Yeah, they got an update in 2016, but they're still working on updates. But it is a game where everything can happen in some ways. It's turn-based, so everything you just press keys to move left, right, up, down, and that's your turn, and enemies can move. You pick your class, but you're just an @ symbol in this dungeon. You move around. That's you. If you ever see anything that has the @ symbol and it's game related, it's NetHack. And everything else is represented by different colored ASCII characters. So like % signs or lowercase d's. Lowercase d is a dog because you start with a dog or a cat that follows you around. And how can I explain how everything is possible in this game? What is a weird way that I died? I was blind. I can't remember why. I put a towel as an item in inventory. I applied it to my head, so now I'm blind. I was blind so I could use telepathy and I could see what was around, but if you're blind, you can't see, like, the floor. So all the floor icons are gone. It's just black. I moved left. I fell downstairs, but I fell downstairs and fell onto a cockatrice, which petrified me. My run was over.
Oh, my God.
So that is a weird one. The shortest run I had is I took one tile step to the left. A rock fell on my head. I didn't have a helmet on. I died. This game just generates stories. And I've played it so much. I've never ascended. That's to finish it.
You've never finished it?
No.
Wow, interesting.
It's hard. And runs aren't short. I think the person at work that I know that did ascend, it took him about 2 months of playing. Few hours a day, usually. So they're long. It's 50 levels down, and then you have to go 50 levels back up and then ascend through the elemental planes. And then it's not heaven, but it's like the celestial plane. And you have to beat whatever deity you chose at the beginning of the game. It's real hard. It's real random. But the beginning is very random, but then you start building a stockpile of items and gear that then becomes incredibly strategic, where you may spend an hour just sorting through your entire inventory and your bags of holding and being like, what do I have? Okay, I see all the enemies around me. I see what I'm going up against. Do I have anything to get me out of this situation? You can get wands of wishing in the game, and you can wish for, well, pretty much anything. Different items. You can I can't remember. You can just eliminate entire races of monsters in it.
Oh my gosh!
With certain power. I mean, it's very D&D. It's inspired by that, and it's just trying to let everything be possible as much as you can. Yeah, and if you can screw up and you like do your wrong inventory management, which is all done through like keyboard commands,
right?
You can hurt yourself, or there's cursed and blesses items that can go on. You can put cursed items on and they can't come off and they screw you.
And you're just dead.
Oh, not dead, but probably not going to do great. There's hunger in the game. So one of the main things you want to try to find on a successful run is it's a ring that makes it so that you don't get hungry anymore. I don't know. It's an absurd game. Absurd levels of depth. It's completely open source. And like I said, it's been worked on for 87 to now almost 40 years. And it continues to be worked on to this day. And there are versions where people have there might even be a version on Steam, that has like a more graphical interface to it, but there's not a lot of stories. It's just playing a game, and like, I mean, it's pretty inspired most roguelikes at this point ever. NetHack Legacy. Someone made a NetHack. Oh no, this is still using ASCII art. You can just play NetHack on. It's like a $6 version on Steam.
Well, while you were talking, I went to NetHack and I downloaded it and I just unzipped it and I opened the NetHack. There's two versions here. One is the TTY interface and one is the graphical interface. So I opened the TTY interface and it says, it's copyright stuff. And it says, "Who are you?" Is that how it started? Is that how it starts? Oh my God.
What's your name? Put your name in.
Let's see what happens. Okay. Shall I pick a character's race, role, gender, and element for you? YNAQ. What the hell? Yes? No?
Yes, no. I don't know what A is. I don't know what Q would be. Or Q might be quit.
Okay, I'm going to say Y. Okay, I'm a healer, human, male. My alignment is neutral.
There you go.
So yeah, Q is quit. And I'll say yes, start the game. It is written in the Book of Hermes. After the creation, the cruel god Moloch rebelled against the authority of Marduk the creator. Is this how all of them start?
Nope.
Oh.
Depends on your class.
Oh, very interesting. Okay, wow, this is very interesting. Yeah, it says my strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and then charisma. Yeah, wow.
Yep. But yeah, advanced Dungeons & Dragons style. So like your strength, I don't know what your strength is. Once it gets to like 18,
it's 9.
You'll have an 18 slash, because old D&D had you hit 18 and then there was a D100 table on like superhuman strength, effectively. Weird old stuff that is the people playing D&D now would not know. And it uses negative AC, the THACO system as well. Like, it's D&D, old D&D. Pre-3rd edition. So, welcome to NetHack. It is a weird-ass game.
Oh my gosh, this is so weird.
I've had so much stories playing this game. There's so much content. There's so many weird little things you can do. Like, don't steal from a shopkeeper or they'll like, try to kill you. But you can throw some food for your cat down on a tile in the store, and you can get your cat or dog to pick up an item from the store and bring it back outside the store, and you can take it then.
So, wow, interesting. This just like creating a little dungeon for me as I walk through as a little at character.
Well, yeah, that's what you've seen. It remembers what your line of sight and everything.
That's so neat. You try to move the boulder, but in vain.
Yep, okay. You're not strong enough.
Yep. Oh, wow. Wow, this is interesting, man. Okay, thanks for putting on your list, because now I'm like, what the heck is this?
And I can't not have it on a favorites list. I've never ascended. I've gotten pretty far down in the dungeon, at least like level 40-ish or so, somewhere in there. It's hilarious. It just, hilarious the stories that it can tell, and it is a story generator more than it's a story of it itself. It's like the most rudimentary kind of like story given to you, but you can ask people to play NetHack, and boy, will they have stories for you.
Gosh, I can see why this is so intriguing. Like, I just walked past something that was a goblin, and then my dog fought the goblin, and then my dog ate an egg.
Yep.
What the heck?
What is the... Yeah, and if you play it enough, you start... it's like being able to read the Matrix. You can actually just, like, intuitively know what the ASCII and the colors are, and you're like, yeah. So you don't even have to do like the translation. There's like a whole NetHack wiki where it will show you what all the different symbols mean, and based on their color. Yes, it is a thing. I love it so much.
Well, I can see why. This is very intriguing. Well, thanks for sharing. I've learned something new. My number 9 is a game that you've dabbled in, but bounced off of eventually. But it's a game that I came to and just loved, and it wasn't a game or a genre that I was really into until this game, and it was Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight came on PC, and it was, had a big splash for an indie game, and then it really blew up when it hit the Switch the next year. And I started hearing more and more about it, so I think I picked up on a whim, really, and started playing it and couldn't stop. The exploration was so awesome. So Hollow Knight is you're a bug basically, and you have a nail, and that's your sword, and you're exploring a hollow nest and defeating hard as hell bosses, like Dark Souls-y kind of bosses. If you die, you have to go and get I forget, it's not souls, but you have to go get something. Yeah. Some sort of currency. And as you go through, the thing I liked a lot was I forget it was a badge system where like the badges do different things and give you different abilities or different buffs. And then the stronger ones cost more, so you can have fewer if you have stronger ones on. And just the progression of the abilities you get, the double jump and the dash and whatever else, just fed so naturally throughout, and the exploration was so beautiful. There was always something to find, and there was some resistance like you find in like Metroid, like Metroid Dread for me. Now there's resistance and I'm just lost. Whereas Hollow Knight, there was resistance, and then I could go a different direction. And I could make some progress and come back, and I never felt lost. But this was a game that I played on the Switch at my favorite tea shop. I'd always get boba and play on the weekend. It was like my break. Because that was when my daughter was young, so get my break on a Saturday and go play, and I just played most of this at that shop. Probably, I don't know, 40 hours or so, and got to the end, the Radiance, the final real boss, and it took me, like 50, 60 tries to beat the last final hidden boss, and I did, and I felt like the most amazing gamer on the planet that I was able to beat this hard as hell boss. I just love the characters. I love the story. It was creepy, but not too creepy, dark, but not too dark. And then it spawned the amazing sequel that we've all played and love, Silk Song. And Silk Song's amazing too, surely.
Maybe one day will come out.
Yeah. But yeah, Hollow Knight. I love the complexity of the boss battles, and none of them really were the same. I never did the Path of Pain where you really have to like get through all the spikes and the buzzsaws and all this crazy platforming challenge. That's the one part of Hollow Knight I did not do. But otherwise, I played so much of this game and did nearly everything. And it made me, just like with Witcher 3, made me fall in love with that kind of narrative choice game. Hollow Knight made me fall in love with Metroidvanias, and then I think it was you and Brad again were like, you should check out Super Metroid if you like this game, and I did, and Super Metroid it's awesome. I mean, it's such a great game. Still holds up to this day, but Hollow Knight is by far my favorite game in this genre, so it is number 9 on my list. I have such great memories of everything the game had to offer, but also where I was in my life at that moment, and the just sinking into that game on the weekends with my boba tea. Just still great memories. So number 9 on my list.
Nice. Yeah. Even if I did bounce off it is a quality game. It's very good. But yeah, maybe one day we'll get Silk Song.
Oh my God.
Maybe not this year.
Please this year. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My fantasy critic can't continue to suffer.
Yeah. Maybe it's on that Switch 2 reveal. Who knows?
That would be, honestly, that would make the most sense. And that would make sense why it hasn't come out because of that, but who the hell knows?
Yeah. So my number 9, we talked about just a second ago, Mass Effect 2.
Oh, right. Okay. So
real one off from you.
One off.
Yeah, and everything you said holds true. And I said before, it is a roller coaster of a ride. I think it is the strongest of the Mass Effect games by a lot.
Yep.
And the pacing was awesome. Characters are amazing. I love them so much. All the mechanical changes that they made to the game, like the combat feels way snappier. Overall, I guess that would be the one thing. I think 3's combat is still better than 2. They just keep iterating. 3's combat it was just another iteration on top of 2's, but 2 was the one that dramatically changed. Being like, hey, we're an action game. Like, let's focus on being an action shooter, and make that feel a lot better. And they did, and it worked. But yeah, I had an absolute blast playing through that game. I've played it through, I want to say, I think 4 times now. I've played through 2.
And you played
twice
it
at
on
the beginning.
Okay, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Twice in the beginning. Once again on PC at one point when I modded it to hell and put 4K textures on everything and went crazy with it, made it look gorgeous. And then in the Legendary Edition when it came out, I made it into Mass Effect 3. I played through all of them until some midpoint in Mass Effect 3 where I was like, oh, okay, I'm bogged down again. But yeah, so I played Mass Effect 2 4 times, and then the last time was when the Legendary Edition came out.
Yeah, I think I was looking through your trophy list, I don't know, a couple weeks ago or whatever, and it feels like you're 1 trophy away from a platinum on Mass Effect 2, if I remember correctly.
Possible. I think I don't remember what I missed.
It was I don't remember what it was.
Yeah. I know I came very close on that one. But I can't remember which one it was. I think I was frustrated because I missed it.
Right.
Or maybe it was something I had to do on I don't know if you could get every single one.
Oh, yeah, a second run kind of thing.
If you had to do a second choice. I don't know if the ending mattered.
That might be it. For some reason I thought it was something to do with power armor. You have to go look. I was like, oh, Anthony, just one more.
Yeah. That's true. I wonder if it dealt with scanning planets, because that sucked into.
Oh yeah,
I'll be honest.
Really
that was
sucked.
just I should say it wasn't bad as in this was annoying, painful mechanically. It was just boring mechanically more than anything. I don't know, but I do know that I played through that. I played through all the DLC. Again, God, the DLC is actually, Shadow Broker is great. Arrival is great. There's a whole bunch of really good DLC for that one. Mass Effect 2, great game. Pour one out for BioWare.
Oh my God. We're never going to get something like Mass Effect. I mean, BioWare it's the ship of Theseus, right? It's the same name, but the people there are not the same people. So
not the same people, not under the same type of management.
Yep.
So, but I'm glad we had this one, and honestly, I'm happy they did the Legendary Edition, so it's all very modern playable. I appreciate that.
Yep. Yeah, really. Forever on this podcast, we were just begging for a remaster of the series, so it was good to see.
We got it. I'm happy. EA kind of pulls through every once in a while.
They do.
They released the source code to the first 4 Command and Conquers.
Isn't that cool to the modders?
Yeah, I mean, it's the full source. You can just go into GitHub and just look at the actual like C++ source code of a bunch of Call of Duties, which is kind of crazy. But it's not like EA's doing anything with it anymore.
Right, exactly.
So,
yep.
So if anybody feels like making an RTS, you have the coding framework to start from now. Ridiculous, but yeah, every once in a while EA will do something cool, which usually just means someone inside EA just fought for it and actually won.
Yep. So why not?
Yeah.
We'll see with I guess Dragon Age Veilguard's coming to PS Plus this next month.
Yeah, it's already been at like 36%, $36 or something. Like a pretty big discount.
Very
it's
good
already
discount,
been.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, BioWare.
Yeah.
Sorry, gamers. Well, moving on to my number 7. My number 7 is a game that I played around the same time as Hollow Knight on the same system. 10, 9, 8. Oh, excuse me. I can't count.
Yeah,
8.
okay.
Thank you very much. It is number 8. Played on the same system as I played on Hollow Knight and had some similar experiences, actually. It was a launch title for the Switch and is Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was not the first Zelda game that I beat. I had played the 3DS Link Between Worlds. That was the first one I ever beat, though not the first one I played. And then I played Wind Waker on the Wii U and was starting to get into this Zelda thing. But then Breath of the Wild hit and just took my breath away by the exploration. Same thing with Hollow Knight, where the exploration was just so fun. Breath of the Wild, like every night, it was before my daughter was born and then rolled through her birth. Just every night playing Breath of the Wild, getting ready for my daughter to come. And then after she came, playing at night, either when I was holding her or when I had a little bit of a break. And just diving into some aspect of the geography. Like, I'm going to go over there and see what's over that hill or what's on top of that mountain. And then just paraglide around. And, it was just the sense of exploration and freedom once you get off the plateau, especially. And then just manipulating the powers, to complete the different puzzle shrines. For me, because I hadn't had a ton of experience with Zelda games, the Divine Beast dungeons were like, oh, these are kind of neat. But I know people were like, what the heck are these compared to the dungeons that we are used to from Ocarina or, whatever, Wind Waker and things like that. So that probably hurt some people's love of the game, along with the degrading weapons, but neither of those things mattered to me at all.
Don't give a damn. And I'm a person who loves Zelda.
And you still didn't care, yeah.
I was like, no, but I also appreciate change a lot in games. If I wanted the same thing again, I'd go back and play those other games.
Exactly.
I want to see the franchise move forward and show me new things, and show that it can be more than what it was in the past. And Breath of the Wild did that, like, over and over and over again. Of being like, wait, Zelda isn't constrained, as a franchise, is not constrained to those things that came before. And honestly, those things that came before were starting to feel real old and real tired.
I mean, now having played Skyward Sword now, I'm like, oh my God, I can see why they're like, yep, we're moving on.
Got to. And it needed to reset and try something new and different. And they somehow, in the Nintendo way, showed every other open world game what it meant to be an open world game.
Yep.
Climb anywhere. What do you mean climb anywhere? Climb anywhere. First time I did that was incredible.
Well, and then you go back to the other games. Even that at the moment, the contemporary was Horizon Zero Dawn. And it's like, I got to jank my way up these mountains by jumping and it's not working. No, I want to climb anything.
I want to climb anything. I want to go anywhere. They doubled down on the exploration and traversal, and it paid dividends for them in this game. And oh man, I mean, forever memory will be coming down to your place in San Diego
Hell yeah, man.
This game won.
I remember I was on my couch with the Switch and you were with the Wii U on the TV.
Yeah.
And just playing Breath of the Wild at the same time, and then getting to I went through the Yiga place where you had to like sneak around and not be caught by the Yiga, or there was something about the bananas as well. I can't remember exactly what it was. And I kept dying over and over, getting caught over and over. And then you just like breezed right through it. It was so cool playing at the same time.
Yeah, and you went a different direction than I did, because once you're off that plateau, which is go wherever you kind of want to go, you getting stuck on Eventide Island for days.
That is still my favorite memory of that game. I remember being in my daughter's nursery before she was born, sitting in the recliner that was there that we had later hold her when we were feeding her. But this is before she was born. And I was like almost a week just trying to, you get to Eventide Island, it takes everything away from you and you've got to get through the island. So you're basically redoing everything in a miniature format. It's a microcosm
of the entire game.
Exactly right. And then just to figure it out, and like there was a huge Hinox there that I kept dying to, and just beating my head against that place in such the most delightful way. I was actually kind of sad when it was done, because I had so much fun on Eventide Isle. That's probably one of my top 5 gaming memories of all time.
Yeah. This game was full of just insane, crazy moments. Talking about it with you, and I remember talking about it with tons of different friends and coworkers, and we just had so many stories on this thing.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why I'm continuing talking about this is it's also my number 8.
No, we did it again.
We did it.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
And I do have a lot of memories with this one. My daughter playing it and beating it. Like, this is a game that's just come back over and over again. And yeah, like, I hear the complaints on the like weapon degradation and like that the dungeons aren't like they were before. And I'm like, I don't care. Honestly, the weapon degradation, once I understood the system and what was going on, I was like, cool, I know what to do. I was never at a loss for weapons and items in the game. And so it just kind of was like, no, this is what the game's presenting as the mechanics. I'll take it. I'll go with it. It's not hard for me to get weapons. I had so many of the crap. What's the name of the mechanical race, ancient race?
Oh God,
the sabers. You'd get the laser sword type stuff, and I was like, I have so many of these things. Like,
not constructs.
Yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about, but that never bothered me, and I would just go and explore and always find new things. There was stuff on top of every mountain, hidden in every nook.
Yep.
And it just felt so freeing to just wander Hyrule in such freedom. God, it was good. I had a great time with that game.
I keep coming back to it with my daughter. You know, we played Tears of the Kingdom, and when we played through that, she wanted to continue to go back to Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild. So we have gone back several times to Breath of the Wild, and I guess the thing I didn't mention is the story. Obviously, there is more meat to it than there's quite a bit of meat to it. I mean, and my daughter really connected to the characters, Mifa especially. But there was so much there that we continued to watch. God, it was after Wind Waker, so she played through Wind Waker. I mean, she watched me play Wind Waker when she was like 2.5 or so. And then around 3.5, I was like, well, let's try this story. And then she just got so into the characters in the story. We just watched the cutscene compilation over and over. And then we watched the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity cutscenes over and over. She got so in. It was Wind Waker, Breath of the Wild, and Age of Calamity stories that she was just obsessed with. And it was just such a nice memory for her to like build stories, like her own stories off of those characters and fall in love with that world.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, similar, watching my daughter get really into the whole thing as well. And like, my son played a bunch of it, and then my daughter being a little bit younger, got older and got more confident and started playing it herself. And I think she beat Breath of the Wild. I know she beat Tears of the Kingdom.
She beat Tears of the Kingdom for sure, yeah.
But it kind of just grew along with her in a lot of ways. And it's been fun to see, and just kind of like, as a family, have a little bit of shared language around that game and playing it and talking about it, and her getting to tell me stories and my son telling me stories of stuff they did that I had no clue you could do. Mm-hmm. It was good. And I think that's why it's a favorite. It's doing everything that I want games to be doing in a lot of ways. Building shared experiences and community, even from a single player game.
Well, so cool how people could do things so differently and then come back and talk about how they did the same thing differently, and just like, I didn't even know you could do that. Like, yep. And obviously continuing that in Tears of the Kingdom, but Breath of the Wild is, I thought for a while about Tears of the Kingdom. I was like, it's Breath of the Wild, just like the newness, the freshness, mm-hmm. the difference, and the way that it pushed its own genre forward, like it out Ubisoft by a million miles.
Yeah.
In that format. So good. And the art style, back to the cell shading, just beautiful.
Yep. They wanted to make something that looked like a Studio Ghibli film as a game, and they did.
Success. Absolutely. Yep. You come out of the cave and you're just standing on that the edge there looking out. It's just another iconic moment in that game.
Piano going. Oh, it's so good.
Oh, the music is so good. The wisps of piano.
So chills.
Yep. Real good. Oh. God, that's number 8 on our list. We have done it 3 out of 4 times so far. 3 out of 4 5-game chunks. We've had the same game in the same spot. That's crazy. We had Final Fantasy 7 at 24. We had Hades at 12, and now we've got Breath of the Wild.
And I have a feeling that from my list here, I think there are 2 more games. No, one of them has already been on the list for you. So that's not going to happen. I think there's one more game on my list that's potentially on yours.
Yeah, I think we've got a chance of. I think we have a chance of 2. We'll see. This is my number 7. If I'm doing the counting right now, this is a game that I fell in love with. My cousin fell in love with, and just played hundreds and hundreds of hours. My mom got into it. This was sophomore year of college, perhaps. Diablo 2 is my game number 7. Mm. And Diablo 2, was not my first experience with Diablo. There was a friend, God, was it high school? Probably was early high school, who had Diablo on the computer, and I watched him play it a little bit. And then my cousin had Diablo on
PlayStation. God,
I was going to say PlayStation, but
there was a PlayStation version of it.
Okay, it must have been PlayStation.
That was the only console version.
Okay, then it was absolutely a console. He was playing in the living room of my grandma's house, and I was in the bedroom. I had just gotten Diablo 2, and I was playing. I was like, "Wow, we're playing the same game." And he's like, "What?" And he came in and saw me playing. He's like, "Holy shit!" So he just sat there and he would watch me play, and then we would switch, and then he would play. So we'd just go back and forth after, I don't know if it was deaths or time limits. And we spent all summer just going back and forth, and just that's all we would do. And then my mom came into the bedroom, and she was watching us play, and eventually we're like, "Do you want to play?" And then she sat down and play, and then we just kept swapping. Fuck, man. I mean, I don't know. There's so much to say about this game. The exploration, the dungeons, kind of building in different directions, and just trying to get further and further down to loot the loot chase, right? Trying to get a Stone of Jordan, trying to get like the next cool piece of gear.
Stone of Jordan. I haven't thought about that name in a long time.
Don't, man. That's the J's.
Boy. So J's.
I never got one. And then my cousin came back to Diablo 2 Resurrected like 2 years ago or something like that. And he's just like, "Look, I finally got one." He had a Stone of Jordan. He was so happy. The idea that you could play the game in different ways with the different characters, sorceress or the barbarian or whatever, was so cool. And then the expansion, came out, Lord of Destruction, I believe it was called.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could play as the assassin, or I think it was the druid as well. Was it those two?
Yeah, there's assassin and druid. Were the expansion ones.
Yep. So cool. And then doing bail runs, and then getting the script where you could just do bail runs overnight while you're sleeping. Oh my God. So fucking much fun. So much fun. I just would fucking just farm loot and just trying to get better and better gear. That loot grind was, I mean, I don't know if it's ever been as good as Diablo 2 for me. Having played 3 and 4, and still like nothing has touched Diablo 2 for me. And I don't know if that's because of nostalgia. I don't know if that's because of it being the first one, just like Hollow Knight or Breath of the, maybe not Breath of the Wild, Hollow Knight, or this one, like the first experience of that genre or that pillar of game. You know, in my head at least, the 800 by 600, I think it was the resolution.
Yeah.
It was beautiful, looked good. I thought it was great. The inventory Tetris, like everything about that game. Thinking about playing it over that summer, like moving into college where I was getting into Counter-Strike, and then a friend in my clan, we were talking about Diablo 2, and I was like, I keep getting close, but I haven't beat Diablo yet. And he's like, you haven't beat Diablo yet? Like, fucking stop playing Counter-Strike. Let's play this. Let's co-op it. Like, all right. So we played it together and we beat it together and had a great experience. Man, I don't know. There was such replayability with that game. Kind of one of the first ones for me where it was just like a single player, or multiplayer obviously, but a single player game that like was one I wanted to play over and over and try different things. And yeah, fucking cool. I love it. That's my number 7.
Yeah, it's a great one. You're not wrong that this will be on my list somewhere.
I figured.
But my number 7 is not this, is Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, nice. Yep, that was earlier.
When I was like going up to the list, it just got higher and higher. I know I don't remember where it fell for you last week. The week before?
15. It was last week.
Okay. And everything that you said there, it was. I stayed away from it during early access, so I didn't pay too much attention. Other than that, like people were like, "This is great. Larian's making a cool thing. It's amazing that they're getting to make the next Baldur's Gate." Because I remember 1 and 2 and being like fond of them, and I played them a little bit. Was kind of amazed that Larian got to do a third one, because those were like, talk about BioWare cut their teeth on Baldur's Gates.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I liked Divinity Original Sin 2, and I was not prepared for how good Baldur's Gate 3 was.
Yeah.
Every chance it had to like stop me, prevent me from doing something, it never did, and it just celebrated me doing it. Like every choice you make, it's like, no, thumbs up, keep going. I'm like, how did you make this game? How are you okay making this game at the whatever budget you needed to do this? You voice act everything, great mocap, incredible mocap and voice acting all around for just
absolutely
an absurd amount of it.
I mean, like iconic voice acting.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely love the voice actors throughout the whole thing. Now they like nailed the characters perfectly. These characters from this game are going to go down as some of the best characters I guarantee ever. Most recognizable, memorable. I kind of can't believe they made a CRPG that got so popular. Tends to not to be a genre that gets that much praise and then also gets into the mainstream, and it totally did.
Yep.
But for me, it was just like, again, it's a storytelling machine. Everyone I knew who played this game, we all had different stories. The game was our story, and we could share it with other people and be like, oh, you did that or this? I said this? Oh, because I was this race and this class, I got these options? What? Which is the reason I've played through it twice.
Right.
Like I finished it and I was like, I got to make another character. I want to be a completely different race class combo and see what I can do. And the game meets me at it at every point. It's thrilling constantly. I know you didn't get to Act 3, but I need to play it. I'm going to wait. I'm going to probably play it again when the 12 subclasses drop, the latest ones. I'll just choose a new one to go through because I want to see what they have added to the endings, because there's quite a bit. There's like a big epilogue now, and I want to see how they improved the ending. The ending was fine, but it could have used more, and it sounds like they put quite a bit more in.
That's really cool.
So it's getting through that again. But I just became obsessed with this game, and it's what I want out of a role-playing game, and it felt like a role-playing game. I was choosing a character, I was playing it as a character, and the game was going to be like, yeah, play how you want, and we respect that, and we're going to let you do it.
Right, it's always yes and, the best improv.
Always yes and.
So cool.
So, yeah. It's been enough praise on this game forever, and it's going to be hard for me to ever find a CRPG that's going to like top this.
Yeah,
probably whatever Larian does next is the next chance for something that gets to top this level of quality.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they move forward from this game.
It's into their own property again, original IP. So we'll see what they do. But they've set the bar very high for themselves.
And for every other team making an RPG right now. My God.
Yeah. But yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 will probably go down as one of my favorites for a long time. I have friends who've done they're still playing it. They just have a group. They don't have a weekly D&D group. They have a weekly Baldur's Gate 3 group.
That's really cool. That's the dream.
Just 4 of them are just playing through the game 3 or 4 hours every 1 day a week.
That's really
treating
cool.
it like a role-playing game. This is their role-playing game.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense.
It's crazy.
So, it offers an easy way to get into that. In my view. So that's so cool. Yep. Great game. On my list as well.
So your last one for the night.
Yep. My last one for the night is a game that I stepped away from video games when I went to the Peace Corps, obviously. And then came back or really grad school, actually. I played Counter-Strike, played Diablo 2 for the most part. That's what I played in college, which thinking back on that is just hilarious. I'm one of those gamers, played the one game you really like and then the forever game and then didn't play anything else. And then didn't play anything until coming back from Peace Corps, getting my job. And then you and I, let me rephrase that. You built a computer for me when I first moved back there. Remember that?
Yeah, that's the other time I came down and visited you.
Yeah, we went and saw Rent. You helped me build a computer. And you know what I did with that computer? I just played Team Fortress 2. And that's my number 6. Yeah. I don't know how I got into it. I know I had, maybe it was something like, if you like Counter-Strike, check this out or something like that. Or you had mentioned it. I can't remember what. But getting back into having a computer to play games, I was like, well, I gotta, fall back into that trap. And fuck my God, I still have played more hours of Team Fortress 2 than any other game. Rocket League's close.
It was probably the time I was playing Team Fortress 2.
It probably was. I'm sure we played together. In fact, I'm almost confident we played together because when I went to PAX with you one time, I got a Team Fortress 2 shirt. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about it.
Yeah, and it was pre-kids.
Oh, hell yeah. This was, fuck yeah. It was 2010 or something like that.
Yeah.
Just played the ever-living shit out of this game. I remember I had a split schedule, so I'd teach in the morning, and I'd come home and, do grading, do prep, do whatever. And then my wife would head off to work. So I had 2 hours before I had to drive an hour to get to my next site to teach. And in those 2 hours, almost every night, I played Team Fortress 2. And just, God, the characters, the hero class kind of thing, each character had its different abilities and just a different approach to the game that made it fun. I think I played Demo Man the most, but I put a lot into each character. I think Heavy was the least. And just the over and over, 2 minutes of fun, just over on loop, and the different game modes, the payload, the capture the flag, or the briefcase or whatever. God, there's just so much nuance to it. Thinking about how fun Counter-Strike was just bashing your head against other people. There wasn't really much difference. The hero class was really just a different kind of gun. But this, Spy was so complex to play. I love playing a sniper. There's just, God, those iconic maps, everything about it, man. It's just like Counter-Strike was for me like 8 years before that. And then Team Fortress 2 was just like warm comfort food. I'd play it late at night after my wife was asleep. I'd play it in my little, breaks between, shifts of teaching. God, so much of this game was just, I don't know, multiplayer perfection. So yeah, number 6 on my list. Played 384 hours of Team Fortress 2 over my life.
All right. It's not on my list. I did play a fair amount and was part of the Studio Rumble, which is a bunch of, I've said it here on the thing before. It was the game that we did, I think we did 2 years of it. And it was a bunch of video game companies did a big tournament. And we play. And of course, the people that were making like the FPS studios wrecked us. But
oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, I was always Pyro. I love Pyro. I will always be Pyro.
Pyro, I played a lot of Pyro. Oh my God, Pyro was so fun. So fun. Just light everything on fire. Fucking great.
Yeah.
You just kind of like spray and pray.
Yep, pretty much. It was my type of fun. Yeah. It's a good game, though. Holy shit.
So good.
Yeah, and so rounding out for me, my number 6, because we can't get through a block without a Final Fantasy showing up.
Yes.
Final Fantasy 14.
Oh, nice.
Took me 3 different times to get into this game. First, when A Realm Reborn launched, not when it first launched, the first game launched, but when it did its reboot with A Realm Reborn, I tried it. And I got into it a bit, not a ton. Was like, okay, sure, whatever. And then like 2 years later, Heavensward came out, its first expansion. I was like, okay, I should try this again. People seem to like it. Still kind of got bogged down in the base area, and I was like, never mind. And then Shadowbringers came out, and one of the patches of Shadowbringers, they revamped the beginning of the game. They shortened it and got rid of a lot of excess stuff. There's still a fair amount of excess stuff there, but they streamlined it, and I finally got through it and hit Heavensward and on and was like, oh my God, they made an MMO that I can play as a single player game.
That's awesome.
And I did, and I fell in love with this game and these characters. And that's the thing, as a Final Fantasy game, this is now 300 hours of game with these characters. And they all get their story arcs, and they all like have a chance to grow and introduce new characters, and there's a character always to fall in love with here, and we'll find favorites. But not typically any other, even Final Fantasy doesn't give that much time to the characters.
Right, yeah.
But they can, and they can take that time, they can take that long form feel to these characters in that way. And that's what just kept me coming back to it, is I just wanted to be with these characters more and see what their story was and what was going on. And it landed. They definitely finished their first arc with Endwalker. Great. I couldn't believe they actually did it. Dawntrail is slow again. Not in an awful way or anything, but it's definitely building up. Still need to finish that. I got distracted. I'm like 3 levels out from max. Need to finish that one because we're going to have another expansion at some point here, and I want to be able to get to that. And everyone says like the end of Dawntrail really picks up, and you're like kind of back into it. They've kind of set the stage on what's setting the seeds on what's going to be the next big story arc. So I want to see that. But yeah, I wasn't expecting a lot there, but then it was just falling in with playing it solo for the most part, but you had to group up at times, but kind of just falling in with the community in there and like stopping at the big cities and just watching like bands perform.
Oh yeah.
Whole groups of bards that are all just playing different instruments, and you can like, import kind of scripts to play the instruments, so they're actually just playing like modern pop songs there. It was hilarious just to watch, and like big crowds would gather and like cheer and emote, and I don't know, it just became, especially during the pandemic, this was a great during that time. It was just like, yeah, there's a little bit of community going on here, and I can take part in it when I want, and then when I don't want, I can just continue through the story. It's an MMO with a good story that doesn't gate you for having to like find groups to play the story. That's
really cool.
Like, you never feel gated. You're just like, no, I can always continue to play the story. It's a pretty incredible game. I'm kind of shocked that Final Fantasy was able to pull off the MMO, and specifically this one because 14 launched in such a crap state when it first came out.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's amazing they managed to do it twice. The first time maybe not so much, but you know.
Yeah, I mean 11 had like some success, but not, I wouldn't say grand success. It was kind of trounced back in the day by World of Warcraft, kind of overshadowed everything at that point. And 14 came out, which was trying to be very 11-like when it first launched. That kind of failed real hard, and they rebooted it and just kind of found their own niche. And this rode that for a while, and then somehow WoW kind of started, Blizzard started collapsing.
Yeah.
And people were looking for another MMO, and this one was generally successful and kind of seemed like they always responded to player feedback and make it better and better, and they have. But yeah, this game moved me to tears multiple times. I love these characters. Probably some of the characters that I am most excited to see in the Magic set, and they're going to get a whole commander deck for them. So
yeah, Ishtala is the commander.
Ishtala is one of the face commanders. I'm curious what the second one's going to be. But all of them, they've in the interviews have said that the decks will have more characters of that game in there. So I assume I'm going to get the whole Scions in there, and it'll be hilarious. I mean, it's going to be fun. So yeah, number 6 for me is, I can't believe saying it, probably my favorite MMO of all time. I thought WoW would be that forever. But 14 kind of outdid it. It landed. It brought Final Fantasy into it in a good way.
Yeah, it's the gameplay plus the story that I don't think WoW had.
WoW was never story forward. That's and when they tried to become very story forward, it was not good. I appreciated WoW's story much more when it was more subtle and just kind of like environmental, as opposed to when it started becoming real heavy-handed. Because they killed Sylvanas, and that was dumb. I hate it.
Was that during Burning Crusade?
No, that was later. That was more recent.
Later. Okay.
It's like that Burning Crusade, it was like Cataclysm is when I felt like it started falling down. They brought Arthas back for it's not Icewind Dale. The Burning Crusade, and then God, what was the WoW
Lich King?
Yeah, Lich King.
Yeah.
That was fine, and then Cataclysm was after that, and it's to me started feeling shaky then, and it didn't really get better in my opinion. Right. But yeah, it was like the Legion, Warlords of Draenor Legion, Battle for Azeroth. Somewhere they killed Sylvanas somewhere in there, and it really pissed me off. Even from not playing the game, just hearing it, being like, "That's dumb.
Why would you do that? Yeah.
And then reading about like how she died and why, and I'm like, that's dumb. Why would you do that? So right now it feels like it's just weird that my favorite became 14, especially after I said it took me 3 times before it finally clicked, and I was like, no, I get this now. I know what I'm doing. I get what they're doing, and I get why I care about these characters.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense because you've spent 300 hours or whatever with this story That's hard not to top the rest of the Final Fantasy games, unless there's one in your top 5, which I don't know about yet.
I mean, this is the highest so far. Let's put it that way.
Yes, put it that way.
But yeah, that's my number 6.
Awesome. So to recap my 10 through 6, I've got Mass Effect 2, Hollow Knight at number 9, Breath of the Wild number 8, Diablo 2 at number 7, and Team Fortress 2 at number 6.
And for me, 10 was NetHack, 9 was Mass Effect 2, 8 was Breath of the Wild, just like you.
Yeah.
7 was Baldur's Gate 3, and 6 was Final Fantasy 14.
Awesome. I think we have a chance for one more. One
really?
more. I do. I think I do, unless I'm misremembering, but I'm not going to say because we'll see. We'll tune in next week for the top 5, but now we're going to pivot to Anthony telling me all about Monster Hunter Wilds because that launched and you are playing.
It did. It launched and there was it's just peaked at 1.4 million on Steam over the weekend.
Shit.
So many people playing. Wow. It's like the best-selling Capcom game ever in its first day.
Is it really?
Not the best-selling in that day.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah.
Best-selling single day that they've ever had.
That's amazing.
It's just an insane amount of people wanting this game. So there's 2 parts to it. Mechanically and playing it, love it. It's Monster Hunter. It is truly the sequel to Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
It's that continuation. I love all the mechanical changes they've made. For the weapons, you can have 2 weapons now. You can't hot swap in the middle of your combos, but in a fight you have a mount in this one like you had in Rise. You can call your mount and they'll come by and you can swap out to the other weapon that there is on your mount, and sheathe your other weapon onto the mount.
Oh, wow.
So, you can, for me, I have a charge blade, which is shield sword that combines into makes the shield onto the sword become an axe. It's a complicated weapon. I love it though.
Sounds like it, Jesus.
It is a very complicated weapon. It has an incredibly high skill ceiling. I'm just drawn to those type of weapons in this game. But my secondary is actually a ranged weapons, the light bow gun, which plays a lot more like a shooter in some ways. So I kind of have a mix of what I want to deal with depending on the monster. So that's cool mechanically. I think story-wise, story in Monster Hunters have never been amazing. But this one is better than Worlds as I remember, and I like it more than Rise. I think the characters are better, so that's grounding me in it a bit more, and it's much more cinematic. Though their transitions from gameplay to cutscene, back to gameplay, and transitions between cutscenes, they do some really cool actual cinematography, wipes and transitions that I'm I have no clue how you're doing this, but it's badass, and it makes it feel incredibly dynamic. So all of that, great. I am not done with low rank yet. For anyone listening who's what's that? The games are typically split into low rank, up to a certain point, which is actually typically, if I remember right, usually the story, the main storyline, and you beat low rank, and then you unlock high rank, which is not really tied to the story, but you have far more monsters and a lot of upgrade paths potential. And then there's master rank, which I don't know if it's in the game yet. Usually gets patched in later. So I think I'm close to the end of low rank. I fought 11 or 12 monsters at this point, which are non-repeats from anything I've ever fought before in Worlds or Rise. So I think they're all new for Wilds right now, but I know there's fan favorites that come back, so I assume those are in high rank.
Or the DLC. No, I guess the DLC is adding 2, right? I thought I heard that they were adding stuff over time.
They always add stuff over time, and there eventually will be a DLC. There always is, and that's actually the DLC is what usually adds the master rank. So it's high rank for
right.
Oh, maybe I don't remember. It gets confusing, but either way, I do know that some of the the fan favorite like Rathalos is going to be in here at some point.
Right. That's the one I would expect.
It's not, I think it's in high rank. I don't think it's in the low rank story. The open world aspect is really neat. Like there's no loading screens between these just enormous zones. So I'm like going from like these windy plain field desert into a dense jungle forest. And you would think there'd be kind of a load like between the maps. No, you just run down the path and then you're just into the next zone. So World had distinct maps. This just feels very open and you can just wander wherever you want to go. The maps are incredibly well designed, like they always have been, like tons of verticality up and down.
Well, I love how the series has progressed, where like the old ones on the PSP and the 3DS or whatever was like you just load in each zone.
Yep. And World was bigger zones, but still zone. Rise was a Switch. It was smaller zones, but had a lot of verticality. This one finally just makes that leap to being like, no, just roam where you want to roam. Go find things. So that's all great. I'm having a blast with it. I'm playing it on PC. The reason I chose PC is because the performance blows.
I was going to ask you about that if you're playing on PC. I've heard it's awful.
No, PC is great. It's awful on the console.
I've heard the opposite.
It looks like absolute crap on the console. Like you should load up Digital Foundry's thing on PS5, Xbox Series X and S and just watch their whole video on the console stuff. It's not good.
Wow. Interesting. Okay.
And like to get good frame rates, you turn it to performance or whatever they call it, and the image looks bad to me. It's very muddy. It's very like Rebirth in that way on the console. Right. I'm like, this is hard to look at. I've heard the PS5 Pro is the way to go.
That's what I've heard is the best one. Yeah, exactly.
It is by far, and it is like the ones like if you have a Pro, fine for a console. On PC, I have my 3080, bunch of RAM, good processor. I have it looking pretty nice overall. I'm getting 70 to 80 FPS at 1080p with DLSS. Because without DLSS, oh my god. But it holds at 70-72 and it looks great. Much higher res textures. I could have a little bit of ray tracing on. So that's kind of what chose it. I'm like, I think you can get decent frame rates out of the console. The PS5 being the one that's specific. I think it's the best on the PS5 and worse on everything else.
It's absolute garbage on the Steam Deck, obviously. So.
Oh yeah, it's not playable on the Steam Deck at all. Yeah. And we'll see if they fix what they can fix and what they do. This is the RE engine, which did Dragon's Dogma 2, and actually was the engine they used for Rise as well on the Switch. It scales crazily. I don't know what's going on here, but there are times when I'm playing and you're just like, well, that texture, there's like a background, like texture on the ground or like a piece of your clothing on a character. For whatever reason, the texture just like loaded in at like PS1 level quality. It's very.
Oh, wow.
And you're like, what happened there?
Why did that happen? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. What happened to that low res texture? Which it's not, because in other scenes the texture is fully like 4K high res textures there. So there's some bug going on in their texture loading where sometimes textures just look like crap. I'm sure it will get addressed. So that's the point where I'm like, I'm having a blast with the game. It's very playable on my system. My dips in performance never get below 60. So it feels smooth the entire time that I'm playing. But I definitely understand people are like, I would expect more, but I also have a 3080 Ti.
Yeah.
Which isn't it's shocking. I'm like, it's not super new anymore, but I think if you're on a 3070 or 3060, you might have problems. Like, it might be hard to get this thing running.
I've heard enough people say that it's not running well on the PC that makes me think people are running like a 20 or a 1080 or a 20 whatever.
I think whatever their system requirements are, it's not real. Like, you need at least a 30. I think you need a 3080 to play this at a decent decent frame rate. The Digital Foundry guys dug into it a little bit more, and they don't know precisely, but I would trust their instincts. And they feel like there's something about the memory bandwidth, the GPU VRAM bandwidth, that you need a certain threshold or it just suffers horrendously. And I think that threshold is around the 3080 speed memory bandwidth. Because everyone I know that has that is generally fine. If you're below that, like coworkers and stuff, they're like, wow, this is rough. So I'm hoping it will get fixed. So that's the hard point, and where I'm like, well, I have a blast with it. It's a really fun game. It's Monster Hunter that I wanted. But wow, it needs some work for everyone to be able to play at a reasonable performance, or I guess you just turn everything down really low and it looks like crap.
Worse. Yeah. It's not supposed to look this bad on current gen. Good God.
No. The only other complaint I've seen, the Steam reviews I was like, why is this so mixed? It's performance, and then people being like, this game's too easy. And like,
well, I've heard that too. Yeah.
Get over it. I heard the same thing about Rise. And stop gatekeeping. The games, you fought a few low rank monsters, and they're easy. Of course they are. That's the onboarding piece. Monster Hunters tend to ramp up they do ramp up their difficulty, but they ramp it in a way as a person gets comfortable with playing the game. And each game is made for generally as if a new person who has never touched Monster Hunter is playing this game, and it ramps the difficulty that way. And so, like, there were reviews on Friday it came out, like, and people were like, it's too easy. I'm like, it's like 20 hours to get through low rank. You've fought like 4 or 5 monsters tops at this point, and they're the weakest, simplest, longest hells that you'll ever have on the monsters, because they're trying to teach people how to dodge and notice tells on monsters and know how to fight. Because where I'm at the end of low rank, I'm actually like, no, I could easily die. But I actually feel like I've ramped into the difficulty nicely and like reacquainted myself with how to play these games without the brick wall of like, guess I got to get good or I can't play this game. They're trying not to do that. And they're not trying to gatekeep people into playing this game. They want it. So anyone can go to a store and be like, I want to play. I've never heard of this. I've never played a Monster Hunter. Should I pick this up? Yeah, play it. And I think Wilds is the best onboarding to the series compared to all of them. It's just, it flows so well. It introduces all the mechanics at a good clip. So I don't know. I heard everyone gave Rise shit too, because they're like, oh, you can do so much and you have like all these tools in your toolkit to like get out of problems. I'm like, yeah, they're just giving you lots to do because they can ramp the difficulty way higher now that you have all these tools, and they do. So, well,
they want more people to play this game. So
yeah,
making it more accessible for more people.
Yeah. And they do.
Or more
and like
approachable, I should say. Yeah.
It's approachable at the beginning, and they want it to be approachable from the beginning, and that's correct. Let the wall come later after someone's gotten comfortable with playing the game. So yeah, I have a coworker who's basically been playing. He took Friday off.
National Monster Hunter holiday.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I want to say, I mean, he beat the campaign, the story, by midday Saturday, and I believe he's already like, I think you beat that and you're at like Hunter rank 6 or 7. He's like Hunter rank 51 now. He's just a monster himself.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's having a blast. I mean, performance-wise for him on a PC, he has actually, I think he has a 5090 now. So,
damn. Yeah, he's doing fine.
He's doing, yeah.
Don't feel bad for me. I'm doing great.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm fine. But yeah, mechanically, story and everything, it's living up to my expectations. Performance-wise, not so much. But, performance can be improved. So
yeah, maybe some patches, but everything else like can't be patched. So
yeah, or take a lot longer to patch that type of stuff. I think performance stuff is a lot easier to like figure out where this is going wrong. I mean, there's like almost 700,000 people playing it right now. It's the most played game on Steam right now.
Crazy. That's so great.
Above Counter-Strike 2.
Well, wow. Yep. 674,000, or is it more now?
Yep.
667. That's crazy. More than Counter-Strike. Well done. And that should last for a while. I mean, that's not like a flash in the pan.
Yeah, it's the type of game that would last that it's going to have a long tail.
Yeah.
Especially as I think they've already said in early April, they're going to drop some new monsters and stuff. So there's always new things coming out for it.
Yep.
So yeah, cool.
Well, cool. Thanks for sharing that.
No problem.
Because I'm not going to play it, but it's cool to hear how it's going. I did download Monster Hunter World because I'm going to try to play the old games of the new games that come out. So I'm going to dip into that a little bit. I saw that I'd played 7 hours of that game previously. It just surprises the shit out of me. So we'll see how that goes.
PlayStation?
Yeah, on PS4.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. This week I played a couple of things. I played Final Fantasy IX a little more, and boy, I really like the story in that game. It's got some different stuff going on.
Yeah.
I'm in. Is it Lindblum?
Mm-hmm.
Am I making that up? The big city where you find Sid, who's been turned into like an oogle or something like that. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at right now. It's just a really cool story. Zidane's growing on me just a little bit. He does hit on everything that moves, so that's a little odd.
Yep.
But I spent most of the week, actually, my family has all gotten way back into Astro Bot. So my daughter and I are racing to get to the final secret level. My Barbara, who I mentioned before, she just did it and platinumed the game and got to the final level. And so I've been inspired to get back and get there. So I'm probably 25 bots away and some puzzle pieces away from all of that. But my daughter wants me to keep pace with her. So every time I leapfrog her by 1 or 2 bots, then she comes back and leapfrogs me. So we're trying to stick close to each other. And goddamn, such a great game. So good. So amazing. And my wife's gotten back into it too. So we're all just getting all the bots that we missed, and then playing the new levels, the new speedrun levels. Wow. Those are hard. It probably took me 20, 30 times to beat the first one. And then I'm not allowed to play the rest until my daughter beats them. And she has currently beaten none of them because they're really fucking hard. So we'll see how long that lasts because I want to play them. It's so nice to have new levels for Astro Bot. So that's what I've been doing this week, other than playing Magic the Gathering Arena and Magic the Gathering in person. This has been a big Magic week.
Speaking of games that are ramping you into the much harder things, there you go.
Yes, exactly. Holy shit. A lot of fun. But there's so many. Cool. I mean, I cannot believe how much fucking shit there is. There's like in the last 2 weeks, it was like Final Fantasy stuff, and then Tarker, and then Edge of the Horizon. I don't know, fucking Edge of Space or whatever.
Edge of Eternities.
Edge of Eternities, and then Spider-Man. Wow, they
I realized that because they wouldn't be previewing like Spider-Man this early.
Mm-hmm.
Toy Fair was this weekend, which is the big industry event for like mainstream things, and it's Marvel and Hasbro wants to talk about it there, so they had to put something out.
Got it. Okay.
I wouldn't expect to see anything else from Spider-Man. Earliest would be MagicCon Vegas.
Okay, so June 21st, 22nd.
After Final Fantasy is out.
Yeah.
That makes sense. This is what they just showed so that Hasbro and Wizards while at Toy Fair could show off their slate. This is like big box stores and the big retail chains put in there. Make all their deals for the year.
Right.
At Toy Fair.
Makes sense.
So I was like, because I was same as you. I was like, why are they previewing this so early? This seems weird. Tarkir is actually out in a month.
Yeah, so it's in April.
That's the next set. That's the next set.
I got one of those Commander decks pre-ordered.
Yeah, I pre-ordered one too.
What if we got the same one?
Jeskai, which is the color pair that I like, which is white, blue, red. White, blue, red, white, red, blue.
Okay.
That is one of the 3 color pairs I know that people call Jeskai. And I'm like, I know what that one is.
The one I don't know which one I prepared it is, or the name of it, but it's the one that focuses on defense and putting up walls and defenders and things. I thought that mechanic sounded pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be fun. Dragons. Tarkir is all about dragons.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But yeah, very cool.
All right. Well, that was episode 468 of Prof and Dev Play Games. If you like our show, please rate it on your podcast service of choice and come back next week when we will reveal our top 5 favorite games of all time. See you next week.